We have to be there on the ground in significant numbers. The fact is, cool, calm, deliberate, effective, take care of the job, and then come home. That's what we need to do with our military foreign policy.
When I am commander-in-chief, every militant on the face of the earth will understand that if they go and join ISIS, if they wage jihad against the United States of America, they are signing their death warrant.
We should go for waterboarding, and we should go tougher than waterboarding.
The next president of the United States is going to have 8 years of a mess of a foreign policy to clean up. That's why it can't be someone who simply has not shown the intellectual curiosity or the interest in learning about these very complicated issues, and Donald simply hasn't.
That was from last night's Fox News Republican debate, where candidates sparred on a number of important issues, including United States foreign policy. Joining me right now is the former NATO commander, Admiral James Stavridis. Admiral, good to see you.
Great seeing you.
Thanks so much for joining us. Okay, what's your reaction to the debate? And from your standpoint, who is the best candidate, best suited to deal with our interests abroad?
Well, first of all, as a former senior military officer, I'm a registered independent and a centrist, and I'm certainly not going to score the candidates.
Good.
Maria.
Thank you for saying that.
I will say that I was struck by the lack of acuity in Mr. Trump's comments. I think he does not seem to have a grasp of the issues that are facing the nation.
Do you think he's speaking to anyone of consequence in terms of foreign policy, informed individuals that would help him in such a situation?
If he is, it doesn't show in the debate. And secondly, I've not heard of anybody in the national security sector who is advising him.
How do you explain then his rise and this incredible, persistence that he is continuing to be at the top of the leaderboard?
I can't, and particularly in the zones in which I am engaged, international security, our military, our foreign policy, it is inexplicable.
I want to get to this open letter coming up in a second, but let me ask you, from putting the debate aside for a moment, what do you see as our biggest challenge when you look at our foreign interests abroad?
This may surprise you, Maria, but I think cyber would be at the very top of the list. I think the level of threat and the level of preparation are quite mismatched.
And when you look at Trump, you said he doesn't really have a grasp on things. What about the others? Ted Cruz, John Kasich, Marco Rubio, did you feel that they had a grasp?
I felt they were better prepared in those sectors, and often listening to the three of them, you heard some level of specifics.
Now, they didn't speak as much on cyber last night, but certainly they were talking about the ground game, the airstrikes.
Yeah, and all the things that were discussed, certainly the Islamic State, the North Korean bomb, all of these things are concerning. But again, I put cyber at the very top of the list.
Okay, and you don't get a sense that that is known from certainly Donald Trump's standpoint, or what about the others in terms of cyber?
Well, it certainly didn't come up in the debate, which kind of surprises me, particularly because we're in a national debate at the moment over the Apple and the iPhone and the FBI. But I think that they did do a good job, the debate, and I thought the moderators did a particularly good job of bringing all of the other foreign policy issues up.
I agree. They were excellent.
Yeah.
Now, Republican national security experts have come together. They've written this open letter condemning Donald Trump for what they say is an inconsistent and disastrous foreign policy. Your thoughts on this open letter?
Well, first of all, you have to look at the list of names on that letter. These are significant, serious thinkers on the Republican side, but many I would identify as centrists. I'll pick one name, and that's Fran Townsend, who is someone who really understands, for example, the cyber issue. She was the National Security Advisor for Domestic Affairs.
Yeah, she's been on the program. She's
quite remarkable. She is one of several score on that letter who are quite serious, and so if I were the Trump campaign, I'd be concerned about
So tell us, I mean, the worst case scenario. I mean, he gets to be commander-in-chief year one. He's going to have to deal with a lot of issues. Cyber, you say, is number one, but in terms of the most immediate issues and challenges that he will have to deal with that he's unprepared for, what?
I think all the things we've talked about, but I'll add one other one, Maria, and that is Europe and the refugee crisis and the sense of the European Union unwinding, which will have enormous economic impact, along with all the other things we've spoken of.
So important. I'm so glad you brought that up.
And I just want to close on one point, which is, how does this look outside the United States? And what are our colleagues in Europe and Asia thinking when they watch all of this unspool? And I can tell you, very concerned. You and I were in Davos and saw that just a few weeks ago.
I was just going to say that. When I was in Davos, I couldn't believe the reaction that I was getting from internationalists over Donald Trump and over what's happening.
Exactly.
NATO's current Supreme Allied Commander, General Breedlove, says Russia and Syria are deliberately driving Syrian migrants into Europe as a form of weaponized migration. It's an interesting term, to overwhelm the European countries. Do you think that is true, and what do you do about it?
I have great respect for General Breedlove, but on this one, I think he might be overstating it a bit. Certainly, Vladimir Putin sees benefit to the waves of the refugees, but I think it's a stretch to say he's deliberately weaponizing them.
They really went on the attack last night on Donald Trump. I guess Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz see this, and the GOP in general sees this as their final 11th hour, last couple of weeks, to either take him down or succumb to the fact that he's the nominee. Do you think they'll be able to do it, or is it too late?
I'm going to leave that to the political commentators, but I will say that whoever the next president has got to buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride for the next president.
Admiral, good to see you.
It's great seeing you.
Thanks so much. James Stavridis there.